Yeah, so as I say, with a tear in my eye, let me get the last session started. And we called it the end of the beginning because there's so much we plan to do afterwards, assuming you want to do that and you want to keep this thing rolling. But before we get into that, let's start as we always do. And let's start basically by just coming into the room. And we're going to use a practice we used in, I think, week 4 called open awareness. And it's very, very traditional practice, and I think it'll set the tone for this. So, as ever, I invite you just to sit in a position where you're upright but not stiff, where you're relaxed but not slouched, and where, in general, your posture suggests to your brain and your body that you're going to pay attention, but that in a relaxed sort of manner. You can put your hands wherever you feel comfortable on your lap. Uncross your legs, put your feet flat on the ground. And I'd say just either close your eyes if it's suitable for you to do that, or allow them just to drop maybe a meter in front of you with a soft focus. And just bring and begin to have just 6 slow breaths, while at the same time allowing yourself to settle into your seat and onto your feet in the way we've done so many times in the last several weeks. So just begin to just take 6 slow breaths, not necessarily mindful breaths, but just watching to see that the out breath's a little bit longer than the in breath. And I'll give you a few minutes just to let you settle into that, and then we'll start with the practice itself. And as you're settling, just being aware of how you know you're sitting in the seat, sensations that tell you you're sitting in your seat, and feeling your feet on the ground. And noticing that as the breath is made a little longer on the exhalation, that you overall settle. And perhaps doing a 1-second body scan just to see, is there anywhere like my jaw or my shoulders that I'm holding myself tightly? Is there anywhere that you are clenched? And if so, just gently let it soften, let it release. Just allowing everything, if you like, to fall, to go with gravity. As we start into this practice, just to bring ourselves into this final session. So as ever, I invite you to connect with an intention for doing this practice. And in general, the intention of open awareness is to cultivate the ability to maintain a relaxed attention to everything going around you, to be present to whatever is happening, but without getting hooked or caught on it. So maybe setting an intention that you're just going to maintain a relaxed attention to everything going on around you, but without getting caught by any particular sound or thought or event. Now taking a long breath in and a long breath out. Bring your attention to the breath. Noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. Wherever it's noticeable to you most, it might be your rising abdomen and chest. It might be the cooler air at the tip of your nose going in. Either way, just not straining or trying too hard, just noticing the breath going in and going out. And when thoughts and sensations and sounds arise, and they will, when they distract you, simply noting the distraction and returning the attention to the breath. Without any frustration, this is not a competition. The intention is always to notice when you're distracted and just return the attention to the breath. So just sit on the breath there for a few seconds, just following it in and out, and the silence is coming up. And just allowing the breath to do what it does, gently following it in and out, noticing when you lose that attention, returning to the breath and repeating that cycle. So now let's gradually expand the scope of our attention. Let's move the attention from the breath to the body as a whole. Are there any places where you feel any sensations in your body right now? Might be as simple as the contact between your feet and the floor, or your seat and your feet, or your behind on your seat. Or maybe feelings of heat, cold, tingling, pulsing. Is there anything in your body that just reaches out and calls to your attention right now? And if there are, just notice them, note them. You can label them if you like. You can call them hot, cold, tight, loose, contact, whatever you want to. And just let it go. Just allowing it to come to your attention and slip away. Now expanding the scope of attention a little bit more. Are there any sounds present in your environment right now? Sometimes when we meditate, sounds can seem unwanted, a distraction from the work at hand. And what I'd suggest to you is, if there are sounds there, again, just note them. You might note car, automobile, you might notice kids, whatever it happens to be, and just label them and let them go. Always remember, when in the moment that you notice a sound, you are absolutely present and aware. So what we sometimes think of as distractions are actually gifts, in the sense that they absolutely snap us back to present awareness. So just open up your attention and allow it, as I say, to be focused now upon the body and any sounds of the environment, and just noticing, is there anything to notice? And if there's not, that's okay, noticing that. So let's broaden the scope of our attention even further. Let's include feelings or emotions. You notice any feelings or emotions right now? Maybe strong feelings, or just a vague flavor of curiosity or boredom or anxiety to get into some task you were working on beforehand, or maybe just complete calm. And again, whatever feelings are there, don't push them away. But don't get wrapped up on them. Just notice them, give them a label: anxiety, excitement, calm, curiosity, impatience. And again, just let it go. So now just scanning the environment and just being open to anything going on in your body, any sounds and any emotions or feelings. Just allowing them to come and go, doing their thing without feeling the need to engage with them. Now let's do another expansion and become aware of any thoughts or images that are coming and going. When you're sitting meditating, while you're doing things like this, thoughts will come into your mind, images appear. Just notice them. You can label them if you like. But notice that they come, they can fluctuate, and then they disappear. Like that analogy we used before, like trains passing through the station. There's no need for you to get on board, no need to engage with them. So you've opened up your attention to your body, to sounds, to feelings and emotions, to thoughts and images. So now just allow yourself to gently be aware of whatever calls to your attention. Anything that comes up, whether it's a sound, a thought, an image. You may still be aware of the breath working in the background, but it's not a primary focus. And just notice any thoughts, sensations, sounds coming, going, arising, falling, in general, passing away. And not focusing on any one thing, but sitting in this kind of clear, open awareness, noticing things come and noticing things go, just being aware of whatever comes to your attention without getting caught up in a story about it. So thoughts and sensations coming and going like clouds moving across a clear blue sky. And all you're doing is just noticing. And if you start to feel distracted, you can ground yourself again by bringing the focus back to the breath. And when it's feeling stable, again, opening up into that open, spacious awareness where you're just allowing what is to be. And if an unexpected noise occurs, then be thankful. Notice how it plants you firmly in the present. Don't be upset with it, just notice it and let it go. You're present. What you might previously have considered distractions are now anchors that actually snap you back to the present moment. And so bringing the attention back to focus on the breath, you can allow awareness of everything else just slip to the background. Still there, but you're now paying more attention to your breath going in and your breath going out. And in a moment, when I ring the bell, you open your eyes and see if you can continue this practice of just allowing yourself to be utterly open to whatever there is to be noticed. When the eyes open, you can take in sights of the room. And if your attention is pulled here or there, just continue to notice where it goes, like watching a dog as it walks around the park and explores different areas. So when the bell rings, let's continue. Okay, so welcome. And open awareness is one of the, oh, I've gone too far there. Open awareness is one of the practices that's obviously on the practices page, and it's in your documentation and the recordings there. It is one of the classic traditional practices for generating this awareness that allows you to allow thoughts to come and go and allow things to happen and not become too caught up in the excitement, negative or positive in the moment. So one of my favorite practices, often referred to as natural meditation. So let's carry on. I said it before, but just while I'm doing my traditional tabs introduction, if you don't have a pen and paper, please grab one now, just while I do this 30-second introduction. And here, for the last time, is my brain has too many tabs open. One of the messages I tried to get across strongly on this program was that a lot of our distraction, a lot of our lack of focus, a lot of the tension and the stress that we experience comes from having too many tabs open, from having too much going on at the same time. So right now, you have an opportunity to start cultivating that practice, that habit of just being present to a single or whatever, a single task, whatever's to hand right then. And I think that multiple tabs open thing is what contributes to the declining attention span that's being reported in a lot of literature. I put up our friend here because there was a study that was recently debunked that was actually published by Microsoft a number of years ago that said that our attention span had gone from 15 seconds to 12 seconds in a period of 5 or 6 years. And it turned out it was kind of a flawed study. But the point is, we all know, and you know instinctively, that your attention span is going. So if you want to be present with this session, I suggest switch off your telephone, switch off any other tabs. And the same, anytime you want to focus on a task, just focus on that task. So we're going to start off with a couple of very quick journalings. I want to help you get into your head and get some learning from yourself on what you've taken from this program. So we're going to start off with a couple of 1-minute journaling. Now, if you got your pen and paper, journaling, when we did it once or twice in the session previously, is the practice of when I ring the bell, you put your pen to the paper, and whatever the prompt is, you just start writing on it. You don't try to get the grammar correct. You don't try to parse it. You don't try to punctuate it. You just let it flow out of you. And if you run out of things to write, you can write, I've run out of things to write. Okay. So what I suggest is when I give you the prompt, just start writing and let it flow out of you. Don't try to get it perfect. So here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to give you the first prompt, and I'll give you about a minute or thereabouts just to write on it. And then I'll ring the bell and I'll give you the second prompt. So here's the first prompt. Put your pen to your paper. And so what I notice about my life since I started this program. So start writing now, and I'm starting your timer. Just let it flow out of you. Don't think about it. Just let it go. Okay, so write down the second prompt. My experience with practicing has been. So just write down, let it flow out of you, write it down and let it go for a few seconds. Go now. Just allowing the pen to flow. If you run out of ideas, simply continuing to write. I've run out of ideas. Okay. And the third and final prompt for this, write that down. Moving forward, it would be helpful if. So final prompt, moving forward, it would be helpful if. Okay, so normally I'd love to give you more time to sort of work that, because I find with journaling, after you get 2, 3, 4 minutes, you really start to get the juicy stuff coming out. But I hope that started the process of just helping you to tune into, what you want, if anything, to take away from these last several weeks. So let me invite you, via the chat, and I can go on to this now along with Aoife, and invite you on the chat. What came up? What sort of things came out for you? So looking at what came out of that journaling, what jumped onto your page? So just share anything you want on the chat there. And by the way, if anybody wants to talk for a couple of seconds, we can switch on your microphone as well. But if you're too shy, just what came up for you, and just pop that onto the chat. Okay. Okay, so you're all terribly shy. Well, here's what I suggest. Have a look, and I would say with those prompts, take those prompts and maybe even spend a little bit much or more time with them, and just work your way through them. As I said when we did journaling originally, it's a fabulous way of figuring out what's going on in your head. Raphael says, "I notice I'm much more present in my daily life," and that's fantastic. That really is exactly what we're all about in this. And Joke says, events calling anxiety still happen, but I'm thinking more about my response. Joke, absolutely. Us doing this doesn't change the world. It is still going to do what it does, and we're still going to have that. It's really a question of how do we respond to it. So noticing that these things are happening, and then just choosing the response. So yeah, that's going to happen. Somebody says, I noticed and I'm not mentioning name on some of these, but I noticed that I'm truly my toughest critic, and I need to be kinder to myself. Oh my God, welcome to humanity. I think everybody that I ever talk to allows themselves to say to themselves things they wouldn't allow other people to say to them. So yeah, I think it really is we do need to be kinder to ourselves, myself included. Rita says the importance of daily stacks as a response to stressors. And I think the key word, thanks Rita, is daily or even regular, if not quite daily. You know, the importance of getting even a little bit of practice in daily. And that's what we're going to focus on in the rest of the session. And Aoife said, you know, actively and easily having a mindful moment, you know, while you're making coffee or showering or cooking. I often ask people, do you ever notice, and I ask big groups of people, and they'll always say, yeah, we do that, that the majority of people in the world tend to shower themselves, washing their body in the exact same order every morning, okay? And I'll bet that's the same with this crew as well. Well, a great way of becoming mindful is change that, is just consciously, when you get into the shower, decide that you're going to wash yourself in a different order and bring attention to it. And it's a great opportunity. Barney or Patrick says, greater awareness of the need to take daily time to be mindful and more gentle with myself and those around me. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the daily or regular time to be, you know, to be mindful. And we look at it even in small ways. As we go through the rest of this session. So thank you. Actually, I thought there for a moment, you were obviously all typing. I thought, oh God, I'm sucking wind. Nobody actually got anything out of this exercise. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So by the way, before we dive in, I just wanted to, we had a lot of feedback from you on the, in your emails, in these sessions, in the LinkedIn group, etc., about how we could possibly continue, to work together. I just want to remind you, here are the 3 ways that we're doing that. The third one you haven't heard of, and we're really excited about it. The first one is, thanks to you, we're now running Mindful Leader live programs. They're going to be running in the United Kingdom. We're going to be running them in South Africa. We're going to be running them in UAE. We're going to be running them in the United States. So 2-day programs. So if you know of anybody who's into promoting events, and maybe that's you or other people in your country and want to do one, let's talk about that. We've also started to talk to some of you about doing live 2-day versions of the program in-house or 8-week online versions specifically tailored to people's requirements. Again, if that's something you can use or you know anybody who can make use of it, please do let us know. And then finally, you'll already have heard this from Aoife, but we have Genos certification starting on August the 15th. And a lot of people have asked, can they use the assessments with their clients, and can they use this material that we're using, the Mindful Leaders? So we're starting an online assessment program on the 15th. It begins with a pre and post debrief of a personalized 180 or 360. And then at the end of the 6 online sessions, you get access to 4 programs. Now, some of you that'll be interesting to, some of it won't, but they're off the shelf: Resilient Leader Program, 1-day program, Emotional Intelligence Leader Program, Engaging Leader Program, and of course the Mindful Leader Program. And so once you're certified, you get access to those if you want to run them with clients or run them with your people in-house. And then for Mindful Leader graduates or people who have a practice and are certified with Genos, we will be doing in the last quarter a 3-session Train the Trainer program for people who want to deliver this material to their clients and to their in-house colleagues and so on. And it'll really be guiding you on some of the deeper stuff that we have in behind the material and how to deliver it and so on and so forth. And anybody who goes through the certification can have access to that. And there is a cost. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there is a cost. But what we've done is we've set it up in such a way that we give you enough assessments that if you sell them to a client or use them with your people in-house, the program effectively costs you nothing. But the bottom line is, if you want to use Genos assessments or certification or assessments or want to deliver Mindful Leader, there is a way there for you to do that. And there's a mail in your mailbox. Reach out to Aoife or myself if you like, if you want to know more about that. Here's something we mentioned in passing before, but we're doing a 5-day retreat in France in February 2018, and we're really excited about that. It's going to go broader than Mindful Leader, and we're going to be doing it with this gentleman. And some of you may have watched his interview. He's quite an interesting guy from Holland. And that on the left-hand side photo is him at about 8 or 9 years ago in his life, and he was a very successful executive running a large transport organization, and not doing so well from a personal point of view. And he realized, if I don't change things, things are going to change, and not in the way I want. And he basically tuned into a lot of what we're talking about here today. You can see in the middle there was a couple of years ago, and here he is now, Robert Bridgman. Robert is a fascinating character. If you didn't watch the interview I did with him, where he did very interesting practice, do tune into it. But he's going to be joining me for that 5-day event. And I say he's interesting. One, he's very active for a number of Native American tribes. There's one, this is a documentary, I think you can find it online, called More Than a Pipeline, that talks about how some of the ancient ancestral grounds of a tribe in the United States are being are under threat from an oil pipeline, and they've created this documentary to bring attention to it. But here's what really fascinates me. He took a group of about a dozen people to the top of Kilimanjaro in 2014 in shorts alone, over a 10-hour period. And he trained them for how to deal with their bodies and their minds and deal with the cold. And there were people on there who had some serious ill effect or illnesses. I'm trying to think, there was one particular, I think it was MS, but there were a number of people, and they had a hell of a time trying to get insurance for this in the beginning, until they investigated Robert and saw his techniques and so on. But the bottom line is, here's a guy who has spent a lot of time. He spent time in a monastery in Vietnam at one stage, and spent a lot of time diving into a lot of this sort of material. And we're going to be getting together for 5 days, and it'll be a 5 days digital detox and a 5 days bodily detox through the food as well. Where we're going to go much deeper and much broader than we did on this program, looking into a variety of mind and body techniques for looking at your life and yourself and the way you manage yourself much broader in the beautiful surroundings that you're looking at there in Qatar country, which is down near Carcassonne, in the south of France. So again, no details on that yet. I just want you to be aware it's coming up, and we're very excited about that. There will only be 30 places on this, and we've already got a couple of folks are rolling up for it. So let's get into the rest of the material. Let me ask you for a show of hands. I'm just going to get you up as participants so I can see your hands. Here's what I said when we postponed the sessions. I said, hey, look at the 3 biggest challenges that you have at present. Select 3 practices that feel right for working on them, and work your way through them. Tell me, did anybody get to do any of this at all? Just give me a show of hands using the hands up feature. Okay, so there are some, yeah, okay, great, that's super. So a number of you dived into it. Here's the key thing, folks. This material is great while a program like this is going on, but it really has the value when you integrate it into your life. And it's a toolkit for dealing with particular challenges. And that's why I say, you need to look and see, where am I right now and what do I need? Am I having problems with difficult colleagues? Am I having problems with focus and attention? Am I having problems with my mind running with unwelcome thoughts or whatever? And then instead of saying, oh God, they gave us a dozen bloody practices on that session, that program, saying, here's the 1 or 2 or 3 that I need. And that's why I wanted to get you thinking about that. And week by week, as we went through the sessions, we said what the different practices were suitable for. And that happily is in the handout that you were able to download that has all of them. So I would still say to you, if there's even one thing that really disrupts your life right now, find the practices associated with and create a habit. And that's what I'm going to work on now. How do you create a habit? So if you go into the practices page, and I know you know this by now, but let me say it anyway. If you need to get to the practices page in the previous recordings, go into the LinkedIn group, scan down, and you'll see the follow-up that post that Aoife put in after session 7. It has a link that goes to the page and gives you all of these practices. And I would say, find 1 or 2 that really speak to you. And this is the time when you really have to make a choice. do I say that was a great program, let it go and wait for another program to come along? Or do I take this out and make life a program, implementing this stuff in there? And I suggest the last one is the way to go, however small a way you do that. And I want to help you do that. I said to you, create a stack. And it's not a beautiful image, but I said it's a little bit like Lego bricks, that you can look at what you need and you can build a stack of practices. Now, I have a practice been going on for a lot of years, and I built up at one stage. I had an hour-long practice, and I'm back to 40 minutes. And this is what my stack looks like. Okay, so I have the 6 breaths that you're familiar with, the seat and feet. I set an intention. I pay attention to my breath and my body scan. That's kind of a combined one. I do some of that open awareness we did just now. I do a loving kindness, which is bringing positive intentions to other people. And then I look in the last minute of what are my intentions for today. Now, that stack is very challenging, I think, to people who are just starting. And don't even think of doing something like this unless you need or want or get something from it. Your stack might be as simple as seat and feet, set an intention, and pay attention to your breath for 5 minutes. It might be simple as stopping for 1 minute during the day and taking 3 breaths. And we'll use that as an example in a moment. The key thing is, it is better to do even 1 mindful breath in a day than to do nothing. And it's better to do a minute of mindful breathing than it is to do 1 mindful breath. But if you can just make something regular, if you can make it habitual, if you can bring that presence into your life by bringing attention when you're showering, bring your attention, as Aoife said, when you're drinking your coffee, just noticing how hot it is, if it's strong, if it's nice, if it smells nice, and so on. But however you manage to bring it in, however many small ways you bring that attention into your daily life, it's better than not doing anything at all. And you don't have to take time to sit on a cushion or a chair to do this. So let me talk a little bit now about how do you get started. And I know many people on here are going, yeah, oh God, a bloody mosquito. I hate those things. It's a reference to one of my favorite quotations from, I think it was Charles Revson, the guy who founded Revlon Cosmetics. And he said, I'm like, what did he say? He said, I'm like a mosquito in a nudist colony. I know exactly what I should be doing, but I don't know where to start. And as you come to the end of this program, maybe you're thinking, oh, darn, I really intended to get going, or I really intended to get much more started into the practice before this program was over. And now I've missed my chance at the last session. You haven't. Every day is New Year's Day. Every day gives you the opportunity to say, today I start again. Today I'm going to set a new habit. So if you want to establish a mindfulness habit, however small, let me show you how to establish that habit and show you a little bit of the research on how one establishes new habits and positive habits, because you can choose at any stage to change the way things are in your life. And I invite you, if you don't already have a way of getting even a minute or two's mindfulness into your day, I invite you just to engage with this next session. This is a book by a guy called Charles Duhigg. And Duhigg did a lot of work on the science and the psychology behind habits. And what he said was, habits are established by 3 steps. I'll show you those in a moment. He says there's the cue, routine, reward cycle. There's, oh, sorry, I've lost my clicker. There we go. There's belief, and there's peer support. Now, I'm going to talk through those, but let me talk to you about the cue, routine, reward cycle first off. Any habit you have starts with a cue. There is something that makes you do it. And I use an example of something that is a habit for a lot of people. A lot of people have a cup of coffee in the morning. So the trigger could be as they step out of bed. It could be, as with me, it's as I'm walking towards the shower. That's active walking towards the shower is a cue to look at the coffee machine. I switch on the coffee machine. I take the cup of coffee. I put it where I'm going to shave. I get in. I have my shower. I get out. I have my coffee, and so on and so forth. So there's some cue. The original cue might have been, you might have been walking by a Starbucks or a Bewley's if you're Irish, and you smell coffee and you say, "Ooh, that smells good," and that triggered you to go and drink that coffee. The routine is you drink the coffee. So there's some cue with every habit, good or bad, that you have that triggers it. The routine is the habit itself. What do? I buy a cup of coffee and I drink it. And why would you do that habitually? Only if there was something in it for you. Honestly, I don't think anybody ever drank their first cup of coffee and said, yum, yum. Or for the Irish or the English or whomever, I guess the world, drank a first pint of Guinness and said, yum, yum. Because the first one never tastes that good. But there was something in it for you. With coffee, it was probably half an hour later, you thought, wow, I'm full of vim and vigor and energy. I'm awake. There's the reward. That means that the next time you get that cue, you're going to do it again. And so the cycle becomes locked in. So if you want to create a habit, or you want to understand or disassemble a habit, you need to understand it starts with a cue. There's something that triggers it. It involves a routine, and the reward makes the whole cycle work. So here's the way, for example, drugs, food, sex, Facebook become habit forming. Let's say with Facebook. Facebook is as addictive these days as drugs ever were because it tunes into the same part of the brain. Something comes up on your phone that says, hey, there's something going on with me. Hey, Tommy, your grandson just coughed. You know, that's worthy of a 15-minute video. It's posted up, and I look at it, and I say, look, he's so cute. He's the cutest, most intelligent, most handsome little baby in the world. And I comment. And when somebody comes back and says, I loved your comment, you're right, he is a handsome child, or they just say like, believe it or not, the research shows that we get a dopamine release. We get a release of that hormone into our brains that is released by sex, by vigorous exercise, by eating chocolate. It's the pleasure hormone. So we get a blast of that dopamine, and that reinforces us going back to Facebook and so on and so forth. And that's why you see people absolutely unable to break the addiction with this thing, because there is a cue, there's something going on that tells them about Facebook. They post a comment, which is their routine. And then when they get that dopamine release for somebody saying, that was a great comment, or that was a great article, that reinforces the habit that goes round and round. So how do you harness this for your mindfulness practice? The first thing you have to do, and this is what I suggested you do for getting ready for this session today, was identify what's your outcome. What is it you want to get? So for example, well, let me come to the example in a moment. And then once you've got the outcome, once you know what you're trying to achieve, what's the routine for achieving that? And then you create a cue. So let me give you a for example, and this is why I said to you that think about the things that are challenging to you right now. Think about the things that you'd like to change. Are you dealing with difficult colleagues? Are you having difficulty sleeping? Are you having difficulties with thoughts just running in your mind the whole time? Or, for example, like this example, I'd like to be more focused and present during my working days. So you need to start with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey would have said. You need to identify what's the outcome I want. So let's say this is your outcome. Then you say, so what would get me that outcome? Now, we've shared with you all of those practices over the period. Here they are. Here's a list of all the practices that we shared with you over the period. So you go back into that and you say, which one of those makes the most sense? And for the sake of this, making this an easy exercise for us to do together online here, I'm going to take a 1 minute practice, the 3 breaths exercise. And let me remind you what that is by doing it right now. In fact, let's rehearse it right now. Please do it with me. Okay. So first one is just take 1 breath and just bring attention to that breath as it goes in and goes out. And then on the next breath, just relax your body. Just let it go. Just unclench. Just basically let your whole body soften and fall. A second breath. And then on the third breath, you're just asking what's important now. And I said it to you at the time that this is one of the most powerful and simple practices. If you can integrate this into your day, man, you are already getting many of the benefits of this program just from this simple, less than 1 minute practice. Well, approximately 1 minute practice. So that's the practice we're going to use. So what did I say? I said, first off, identify a desired outcome. I'd like to be more focused and present during my working day. Then go into the list of practices we gave you and see which one fits. Because it might be, I want to be able to deal with people who are, difficult people in my life. The compassion practice is good for that. I want to be able to relax more effectively and notice my emotions arising in my body, the body scan. I want to be more attentive or more focused, the attention training. So whatever it is, you choose that. So let's imagine that we're going to choose this practice. Now we have to set a cue. You know what the practice is, you know what the outcome is. Now you have to set a cue. You have to say something that's going to make you, like smelling the coffee in the coffee shop, make you want to, or remind you to initiate this practice. So there are a couple of ways you can do it. One is you could use an external cue. I suggested this to you during the program. This app, it used to be free. It now costs a massive sum of $1.99. It's from an outfit called the Potential Project. And it has a lot of things in there that are really useful. A lot of recorded practices and a practice log and so on and so forth. But the one thing that I recommend it for is this reminder facility, because it allows you to set it up for 1 hour duration, 2 hour duration, 3 hour, whatever it is. And it'll randomly, on that schedule that you set, 1, 2, 3, 5 hours, give you a ring of a bell or a buzz in your pocket just to remind you. So that's your external cue. So you could have that external cue that it dings and you do your 3 breaths. So you have 1, notice the breath going in, 2, notice the body, 3, what's important now. But you don't have to use an external cue. You can use cues that are built into your life. So for example, if you do, as I do, you have a to-do list that you work through day to day. And every time you're transitioning from one task to another, wouldn't it be good to take 40 seconds or a minute just to use that as a cue to trigger that routine? Or it could be anytime you feel yourself getting, oh God, this is really getting on top of me. Or here's a great one, and I can't remember if it was this program or another program, but somebody suggested that you use this just before you walk through the door at the end of the day. Just as you're walking in, you say, I'm leaving work behind, I'm going into home. And as you walk there, stop on the doorstep or stop in the car. Mindful breath, notice the body, what's important now. And in fact, I think I did mention on this program, somebody said to me to then go in and instead of doing the often routine hugs that we do with our loved ones, to do a really mindful hug and notice that hug going on. But let's say, here are the cues. So I want you to think about how you could build this particular practice into your day. And I want you to think of a cue. So I'm going to give you literally 30 seconds just to think and to write down, how could I, in my day, cue myself to remember to do this practice regularly? So just think about your day for 30 seconds and write down a cue that would make you do this simple practice. So just take that 30 seconds now. So just writing down something that would remind you to do that practice. It might be when I arrive at the office. It might be as I turn off the car. It might be as I sit into the car. It might be when I arrive in the bathroom. It might be just before or just as I'm washing my hands, leaving the bathroom. Okay. Whatever it is, now, if it's suitable for you, close your eyes momentarily. This is only going to be a few seconds. If not, just bring your attention down in front of you. And what I want you to do is imagine that you're just in the split second before that cue occurs. So you've written down a cue, and I want you to visualize, imagine yourself, see yourself there, see where you are, what you're doing, what's around you, what's going on, and it's just a split second before the cue occurs. And then the cue occurs. So notice and visualize that cue occurring. And when it does, let's just start that routine. So just do one breath in, noticing the breath going in, and noticing the breath going out. And then another breath, just releasing the body and letting it relax. And then the third breath, just asking, what's important now? And just sitting down, I should say. You can open your eyes now if you haven't, and doing that, and even visualizing that gets you started. Now it needs to be reinforced by every time the cue occurs. Reinforce the habit. So try and pick a cue that happens in full color that you cannot miss. You know, like as I say, I'm washing my hands after the bathroom. I'm standing into the shower. I'm getting out of the shower. I'm getting into the car. I'm walking out of the car. Whatever it happens to be, and you visualize that. And then once you've decided that this is my cue, now you've got the start of a habit. The only thing that will stop it and break that cycle is if there's not a good enough what's in it for me. There has to be a reward in it for you. So this is where you really need to have thought, what is it I want to get out of this? What's important to me? Do I want to sleep better? Do I want to be just a little bit calmer? Do I want to be a little bit kinder with the people around me? Do I want to be more present with my kids, my husband, my wife, whatever it is? And that's where the reward that comes from this has to be good enough to make this habit live forever. And you have to believe that it's going to happen. And this is what Duhigg says. And this is why I share the science with you. I share the science of this stuff with you, not because I want to show that we've got a really clever guy. I know all this stuff about the brain, because really my knowledge is about that deep. But rather so that you can see that people have researched this stuff and it works. And so that you have that belief that, hey, look, if I try this, if I give this a go, that you have the confidence that it's going to work, the confidence that it's going to deliver something meaningful to you and that it'll be worthwhile. Now, if that's, I'd like to be calm, or I'd like to be more present with my people, it just needs to be something that's meaningful for you. So that's the second step that he says. And so let me do a quick 3-minute journaling to get you ready to move on to the next step after we complete this program. So please grab your pen and paper and just take 1 minute on what's important for me moving forward after this program is. So please get some of that down. What's important moving? What do you want to get out of this program? And just let it flow out of you. Okay, and of course you can continue that after the session if you like, but this is really about focusing on what is it that you want out of this. And here's the only person who's going to see this next piece of writing is you. What I am committing to myself to do now is. So please take a moment and just, if you're committing to do something as a result of this program, let it flow out of you. Don't get it perfect, just allow it to flow. What I'm committing to myself to do is. And again, that was a short period of time, but I hope it gave you at least grab the essence of what it is. What are you committing to yourself? If you are, and only you know this, and it's entirely up to you. What I'll invite you to do, I'm going to continue with the rest, is because it takes a few moments, as we saw before. If you feel inclined, to share anything of what came out in those 2 steps, please plug it into the chat. If you don't want to share that, if it's too private, that's fine. We carry on. So while you're doing that, I'll just carry on with the rest. So you saw with Deiric, the anatomy of habits, as you like, is that they are built around this cue, routine, reward cycle, and you can harness that intentionally. You can set a cue to create a routine to achieve any outcome, including creating a mindfulness practice. It's important that you believe it's going to work, because without believing that it's going to work, I mean, you take a strong coffee, you know that you're going to get the blast that comes from the caffeine. That belief is a given. As I say, that's why I share the research with you. So if you have that belief, it helps reinforce it. And the third part he said is critical in creating a successful habit is getting peer support. And peer support is as simple as just simply telling others. So if it's your wife, share with your wife, your husband, your loved ones, people around you, I'm working on my mindfulness. I'm working on my anger issues. I'm working on whatever it happens to be. And just let people know so that they can help you, so they can provide support for you. You will be amazed just how much somebody saying, how's that going for you, Deiric, can help. So he says, simply tell others, ask others for support. And a great way of doing that in this program is I'm sorry, it's not a beautiful name, but an accountability buddy. Get somebody on the program who will help you be accountable, who will share with you, hey, listen, here's what I'm trying, here's what's working for me, here's what's not. And you may be asking, but hey, Deiric, how do I get somebody like that? Go on to the LinkedIn group. When the session finished, go on to the LinkedIn group and say, hey, look, I'm trying to do this and this and this. I'd be interested in speaking to somebody who is this and this and this, who might be interested in buddying up so that we can support each other in developing our practice. Believe me, I've done this with several programs associated with mindfulness. It's a powerful way. And you might just reach out to your buddy once a week by email, or maybe even on Zoom or whatever. But however little you reach out to them, it's you've got that support. So that's a cycle. Visualize the simple, powerful cue, believe it's going to work, and then tell others and look for support. So that's how you get, past the feeling like a nudist or a mosquito in a nudist colony. That gets you started. You're going to have the recording, and we'll put the slides that have those couple of suggestions up onto the site for you, onto the LinkedIn group for you afterwards as well. Let me do some more housekeeping. You went through a time 1 assessment, and we said we give you an opportunity to let other people see how do you show up from an emotional intelligence point of view. And then we fed it back in the early part of the program. And we said, we give you an opportunity to go through a time 2 assessment to see, has the needle moved? Do people notice anything? And the one thing I'd say to you, and this is why you do these assessments, is you're rarely the best judge in how you show up. And any changes that have happened in the last 10, 12, 14 weeks, you're likely not to be quite as aware of them as other people are. And so there's some great value in going through this again, both for you and us, and I'll tell you about us in a moment. But if you've been practicing and you feel, oh, I'd really like to see, I feel a shift, I'd really like to see if other people do, reach out to Aoife and let her know, and she'll set you up for your time 2 assessment. So you can look and see, is there a difference between what they saw on day 1? And if you don't reach out, we'll reach out to you in September, and we'll say to you, here's the opportunity to do your second assessment and get you going. And one, it'll give you an idea of, hey, has the needle moved? Are people seeing a change? And I think what you'll see is, if you're doing any practice at all, people will be seeing things you don't surprise, or you'll be surprised by. From our perspective, it's really valuable because it allows us just to look and see, how well did this program work versus another program, so that we can do, we can do some research to fine tune programs as we go along. So it's useful to us. So if you want to do it right away, reach out to AIFA. Otherwise, we reach out to you in September. So here we come to the part where we've started something. 800 of you signed up. About 600 and something are still very, very engaged. We have 420 of you on the LinkedIn group. And we're getting questions as to what happens next. Well, my question to you is, what happens next? What do you want to happen next? So what would help you, coming from us, to help you keep up your practice? Because I think we've built a powerful community. I think we've built something that has real legs if we all want to invest in it. How could a group help? So just think about that, and what can we do to encourage this community? If you want to keep it alive, if you're getting value, feed us ideas, and we'll put in the work to keep it going. And the place to share those ideas is on the LinkedIn group. So please, when the session's finished, if something comes into your mind and you say, here's what I'd really like to get from this group, don't trust that it'll still be there at the end of the day. It won't. You'll have forgotten. Please go in there and post up. Here's what I'd like to get out of the group. Here's what would be useful to me. Here's what would be really good. We will be watching and listening and taking action. You know that from the last 8 sessions. Here's some of what we've already planned. We have some regular interviews with some great experts already scheduled. Some of you have watched the previous ones. Some of you haven't. They're really good. We have a chap called Zach Mercurio. He is the man on finding your purpose and organizations finding their purpose. He's author of The Invisible Leader, and we're going to interview him during August. And he's going to talk about, how do I find my purpose? How do I find something, what Simon Sinek would call your why, so that when you get out of bed in the morning, you feel, yeah, another day, fantastic. We're going to talk to Kim Scott, who is the author of Radical Candor. Radical Candor is a hugely successful book that talks about how to have real compassion, tough compassion, and how to show tough love for the people that work for you and with you. Very, very interesting lady. And the third one is Kelly Werner, who is a cognitive behavioral therapist specialist. And she is doing something on the brain science of meditation. And later today, if it hasn't already been posted, AIFA would be posting something about a 90-minute training program she's doing online. There's a small cost, I think it's $55 US. Really, really well worth going along to. She knows the science of emotional intelligence and mindfulness inside out. But we're going to be interviewing her during the last quarter. And my question to you again is, what do you want? Who would you like to see? Who would you like to see interviewed? Now, we're probably not going to get Bill Gates. We're probably not going to get, oh God, I nearly said, we're probably not going to get Steve Jobs. Holy God, that's pretty certain. But who would you like? Who are your authors? Who are the people that you like? And then would it be useful to have live practice sessions, or have you other ideas? So please feed us so we can feed back to you. So, I've already covered that. So basically, if you know anybody who would be interested in in-house or public mindful leader programs, let us know. If you're interested in being certified, reach out to AIFA. You already have a link for that. And this 5-day retreat is going to be, I think it's going to be something very, very special. 5 days away from digital contact, just working on yourself, your mind, your body, and who you are and your purpose and where you want to go and all that sort of thing. I think it's going to be a wonderful period. So we come towards the end of the session. We're going to share this slide with you as well. It's just a collection of the books that I've recommended throughout the program that would really be worth your while reading. And we'll share this slide with you so that you have it. So it's at that point that I'm going to throw open the mic. I'm going to invite AIFA to come back in and throw open the mic for the questions that you might have put up on the Q&A or the chat box. And if anybody wants to come on, we have 20 minutes left if we need it. If anybody wants to come on and contribute questions live, you want us to light up your mic, please just say so in the Q&A or the chat box. So AIFA, over to you. Have we anything in chat that we want to share yet?
We don't actually, Deiric. So, okay. Yeah. I'm taking a quick look here. No, just some of the feedback that you've already shared. Yeah, so not yet. So please feel free to chat any questions in there, folks.
Okay. So Yeah, by all means, any questions that come up, please pop them in. So while we do that, I'll wait a moment because I always make the mistake of thinking that people can type instantaneously, and people may be typing there. But so let me ask, say, for a show of hands, just so I get a general poll. Tell me, for example, how many people, apologies for that, I don't know what's, I'm going to have to let that go through. There we go. Somebody has answered it. Good. Tell me, would it be useful to you that we do live practice sessions for live mindfulness sessions? Is that something you'd attend? If we set them up live online, is it something you'd attend? So just put your hand up now. We're getting, pardon the pun, a handful of hands. Okay, so we got sort of 9, 10, 11. Okay, so okay, yeah. So there's a decent number of people who are kind of interested in that. So good, that's something we take. What about the interviews? So you might take those hands down, Aoife. What about the interviews? Are they of interest to you? You know, having these sort of authors and experts. Just again, great. Okay, so we are good. So there's some interest in that. Great. Super.
Quick question there, Deiric. Raphael's asking, could we envisage launching a French language, any kind of work?
Oh, mais mon français, c'est terrible. Tout le monde, terrible.
But this is where it could be useful if, you know, for example, you know, to come to certification and then go to Mindful Leader, train the trainer.
Yeah.
And kind of perhaps kind of spearhead a Mindful Leader, train the trainer en français.
I would certainly, we have a number of people already certified as certified EI practitioners en français who use the system day to day in their businesses. I would be wide open to the idea, Raphael, of figuring out how do we do something similar to this in French language. You know, if we have somebody who is certified and has gone through the Mindful Leader program, has a practice, has gone through the training, I'd be wide open to it. Off my head, I can't think how we get it going, but you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And we did have several French participants on this program, and you know, I think in both of the sessions. So yeah, wide open to the idea. Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant.
And here's the thing. We'll keep this going for as long as you want us to keep it going. For as long as you're posting into the group and you find that useful and you're finding the interchanges with your colleagues useful, we keep it going. Do me a favor and just post, as I say, one, your buddy request if you want to buddy up, but secondly, anything else that you think would be useful for the group, because we're wide open to it. As Aoife said, we'll be putting up that automated version of the program for anybody who wants to do it, because we probably won't do a live one again until next year. And then we will be opening up the group again to people who have an interest in mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And we'd be keeping it clean. We'd be stopping it from becoming a place where people come in to sell you stuff. We'd be keeping it really focused on the knitting. So I'm seeing no more questions there. Are you? There is. Okay.
One more question, yes. Joe Kate's asking, how can we complete the time 2 if we're not working with the same people anymore?
Okay. You know, that's in a perfect world, same people on the front end and on the back end. But it's still useful, Joe Kate, to know with these people, perhaps even more useful in some ways if you've got a new crew of people, to know how am I showing up to them. If you're as new to them as, let's say, the beginning of this program, so 8, 12 weeks, I would say wait until at least into September so that they know you a few months before you take the temperature, if you like. But at any point in time, it's always useful to know, how do people, those people that I work with and I care to influence, see me show up? So for the purpose of this program, it would have been nice to have before and after the same folks, but it's not essential. What we want to see is what are, you know, what's the impact? You know, how are people seeing you show up?
Yeah, perfect. And I've posted my email in there for anyone that doesn't already have it from the last several weeks. So if you are interested in doing that time 2, I'll be building my list at the moment. We have several people already signed up. So just shoot me a note and say interested in time 2, and I'll put you on our list. Okay,
Great.
let me see another question coming in. Thanks to you both. It has been great. Thank you, Joke.
Hey, thanks to you guys as well. It has been a genuine pleasure, and thanks for engaging so fulsomely over the period. I genuinely, we see this as the end of the beginning, not the end. And I think there's some great potential. You feed us what you need, we'll keep this thing going, because I think we have an opportunity as a group to make, as Steve Jobs would have said, to make a dent in the universe, to have an impact on the world. I think we can, in our own small way, all 800 of us can change the world just by the way that we show up, by influencing people, by modeling the way people can show up in all of our imperfections. So thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for the interaction. Thank you for considering continuing to work with us in the future. So for now, I say goodbye, or maybe I'll say, what does the Spanish say? Hasta luego. So next time, or yeah, I'm not even going to try.
A bientôt.
Yeah, a bientôt pour le français, and until we meet again.
Joe K said slán. That's Irish. Nice.
Thank you. Okay, slán latsa. That's the Irish. Take care, folks. Be good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.